Can I use that? Wangare,
Yes.
Evelyn Wangare Korea.
I love that. If people
Farm on fire.
Yes, just use that one.
Okay. But maybe when you, because I'll give you a chance to also tell us a little bit about yourself. You can try and explain why you call yourself Farmer on Fire.
Okay.
So that people, why is she on why is she
Get
on
the
fire?
reason?
Yes.
Okay.
So I've done my little research on why agribusiness is the right place for conmen.
Okay.
So one is it that we don't have enough information, especially financial. We are not financially literate to break down some stuff. Because someone, okay. People are not financially literate, so that they're easily conned. Because you can't sit down and do your own math and realize these guys may not be telling me the truth.
Not really, but financial literacy, I see that, yeah.
Yeah, financial literacy.
Because anyone giving you more than 20% interest, question mark, any day.
They're telling us to stand by, we are about to. You've switched off your phone?
Yeah.
No. Welcome to Agri Talk, and thank you for keeping it KTN Farmers TV. On today's conversation, we are talking about why agribusiness is a ripe place for conmen. We understand that so many people have been conned in this field, and today in studio to help us understand this, to break down this conversation and make you understand and even know what to do so that you are not conned. I'm with Evelyn Wangare Korea. She's a farmer, but she likes calling herself Farmer on Fire. She will be telling us why that. Welcome to the show, Evelyn.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be
Tell
here.
us a little bit about yourself and why you call yourself Farmer on Fire.
Yes, I'm excited to be here. And the name Farmer on Fire came because first I'm a farmer, and then number two, I want to inspire others. I want other people to get the fire that I have.
Okay.
The idea is to create production so that there is no food shortage in Kenya and in Africa.
Okay.
Yes.
So what do you farm exactly?
I farm mushrooms, strawberries, and I also keep rabbits in my urban plot.
Okay.
Yes.
So that must be a small space.
Yes, an eighth of an acre, but somehow I managed to become a farmer in that space.
Okay.
Yes.
So why exactly do you think most people have been conned, especially when it comes to agribusiness?
There could be a lot of reasons. First, we can also say this is not just a Kenyan problem. There is something called the Nigerian letter that affected the West so much, where people were being conned by Nigerians about them getting an inheritance and they need your help. And
I think I got those emails and
Yes.
said, you what, and
Yes,
the
yes.
first time I filled those, it was a long form.
It was.
Yes.
Yes, because you want to get part of this many dollars that will go to waste if you don't action. So that's the kind of thing that the conmen know how to catch you or hook you. Yes, but also in agriculture is because there is a lot of potential. And that's why we are here, me and you, is because we see where Africa is going and where the world is going in terms of food production. So for sure, there has to be also the bad and the good.
Okay.
Yes.
As a country,
Yes.
why is it easy for me to be conned by someone who is promising me to make millions if I just invest in a small space?
Yes, so in Kenya, it's because we have the culture of the hustle mentality. Because we don't have things like jobs for everyone, the structures are not really that strong. So a lot of people in Kenya have made money through hustling, through deals, through things that we've been told by a friend over drinks that actually did work. So there is always that possibility that I cannot ignore this because previously it has worked or it has worked for my friend. And then number two is that we are also, it means that there's something in you that expects to get a jackpot, that expects to win a lottery from nothing, from even not applying. Yes.
Those are schemes of make money quick.
Yes.
Okay.
There is that as well.
So I was also thinking, could our traditional ways of farming, our traditional, our parents have grown maize all these years.
Yes.
They've kept cows, whether even if it's producing a liter of milk a day, they still keep the cows.
Yes.
Could those be factors that contribute to me being conned, in that I've seen my parents struggling with this farming so long?
Yes.
And there's this one here that I think I can put almost zero effort and still make more money.
Yes. We have come from a generation where our parents used us as donkeys, and that's why most of us will run away from the rural areas, because you don't carry napier grass anymore. And someone tells you, yes, there is potential in a farming, but I can show you a quicker way. Definitely you run that way, because you don't want to be milking a cow whether you want it or not. The cow has to be milked every day. So if you find an easier way, someone is telling you, I will plant pineapples for you, 50 acres, and all you have to do is sit and wait, and I will be sending you the dividends. I will do all the work, and you just sit pretty and wait for the money. Yeah, sounds like a good deal.
Very true.
Yes.
In fact, before even I came here, we were having this conversation in the newsroom, and I remember a friend of mine,
Yes.
which I also almost got into the same problem.
Yeah.
Some guy approached us and told us he has 1,000 acres in Narok.
Yeah.
What we can do, just put money in. I say me, I can only afford to plow or to plant wheat for, let's say, 15 acres.
Yeah.
My friend does 20. The other one does. At the end of the day, we have the entire farm.
Yeah.
So the problem was,
Yeah.
what happens at the end of the day? Because one, we depend on rain-fed agriculture.
Yes.
It's not a guarantee that
It's not.
what he told you is what you'll harvest.
Yes.
So could that also be we trust too much, or we believe in things that seem to excite our financial...
Yes, visibly that sounds like a good idea, and it might work. The problem is the one proposing it to you is really seducing your mind and giving you these statistics that you're feeling, wow, true. If one bag is 4,000 and I will make 300 bags from an acre, you're already counting your money in the bank. So that is where we can't throw away the bathwater with the baby. There is some potential in businesses and partnerships and looking into each other to make us grow better. Because as you know, even NGOs, they fund cooperatives, they fund farmers who come in together as a group, not individuals. So there is a possibility of people actually making it through that. It's just that we need to question more. We need to ask more questions. We need to have some sort of guarantee, even go into insurance just to make sure that we have that buffered. We need to ask more questions.
Okay.
Yes.
So it also means, even with all this negativity that's going on in this particular sector, we should not shy away from still giving it a shot.
Exactly, because fear is the worst thing that can happen to humanity. When people start fearing something, they take less risks. And remember, the people who take risks are the people who have the chance of making it. It's not the people who've been growing the same thing over and over. Not the people in Kinangop who've been growing cabbages and potatoes, all of them at the same time, year in, year out. It's the people who decide, let me take a risk and try something different. So we cannot allow people to get that fear. We can just say, this is the situation, but equip yourself, be smarter about it.
Okay.
Yes.
And why is it, again, from the many cases we've had, most of them are young people?
Yes.
I've not seen an older man who has come out and say, I was conned.
Young people, as they say, kuishi kwingi kuona mengi, so they haven't lived yet, one. Two, we live in a generation where people are able to make money very fast. Our parents, only teachers and doctors could afford to even build their own houses. The rest of our parents had to struggle. Even to buy a couch or a mattress was a really big investment for them. The economy was different. But in today's world, I can make 40,000 in a month, and in a year I can be able to say, I have this surplus that I need to invest. And according to how I've read, I should be able to save some money and put it in an investment. So that is why the young people are doing that.
Okay.
Yes.
So what about our financial literacy?
Yes.
Does it contribute to this?
Of course, it's a very big part of it, and it's sad that an account or a lecturer in the university teaching accounting is
Still vulnerable.
Yes, and is still struggling. Yet he's giving you formulas on how to make million, on how to invest better, on how to do compound interest mathematics. Yet himself is not in touch with the reality. So financial literacy is a complex topic, and there are institutions like St. Tonomy or Rina Hicks who are trying to help people get there faster, not do it for you, but educate you to become better, to make better decisions. So financial literacy, like, it's just basic for me because I know, but it's just basic. Someone giving you 20-25% in interest rates, question that very highly, because the higher the interest, the riskier the business.
The
And
good the
at
deal,
least-
what there's a saying.
Yes,
The better the deal.
when the deal is too good.
When the deal
Yes.
is too good, think twice.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What about the issue of land? Because the sizes of the land that we have is shrinking every day.
Yeah.
The land that has agricultural potential is shrinking every day.
Yeah.
Could that be a contributing factor in that now you're doing it from either your balcony or your backyard?
Yeah.
Tomorrow your ambition will tell you, we need a bigger space, but
Yes.
you can't afford the land, because even the cost of land has
True.
gone through the roof.
God has made no more land. We have to work with
Yes.
what we have.
So could that be a contributing factor whereby you say you have land,
Yes.
me I don't have it, but my passion to grow something
Yes.
is also pushing me to overlook all this financial literacy, all the red flags that might have been there.
Yeah.
Could that be a contributing factor?
It is, and it's a real one, because I am a YouTuber and I produce videos about farming and how to farm, how to even basically start from scratch. And the biggest question I get in my inbox is, Wangari, can you find me land? Can I get a plot in Kitengela? Can I get a farm from the Maasais to lease? That kind of conversation, because they are feeling the fire has already sparked in them, but now what do they do next? Maybe they don't have land, or the land belongs to the family, so it's a complex conversation. Can they get something in the meantime? So it's very easy to get into that trap, and that's how you even get the scammers that we've experienced in Kenya have used exactly that. We have the land, give us the capital, and we will farm on your behalf, which actually works because people are struggling with that specific issue.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
Because I also remember the guy was talking of 1,000 acres.
Yes.
If you have 1,000 acres, why don't you want to do it yourself?
Exactly. Bwana mganga ajiganyi.
Now you're telling us to put our money.
Yes.
You just manage.
Yes.
You don't even want an acre in that 1,000 acres for yourself.
No.
So that was a red flag that I thought in that
Okay.
conversation. But also, as a country, is it, you've talked about people asking you if they
Yes.
can get land maybe in Kitengela
Yes.
to rent or hire for a season.
Yeah.
Isn't that also a risky bit in that you have no knowledge at all about farming, but because of the fire in you,
Yeah.
you just want to try something,
Yes.
and you believe I can just Google and I'll
Yes.
be okay at the end of the season.
Yes.
Is information important even before you start doing the real work?
It's important, yes and no, because you also don't want to be caught up in analysis paralysis, that you have to get all the information at once before you can even start. That can take forever. So you need to hit the iron while it's hot, where I'm thinking, yes, you might want to do onions or garlic in Kitengela because it's closer to the market, it's closer to Marikiti compared to going to Kitale where maybe you have farm, but in Kitengela it's closer to the market. But now what I would advise that person, go ahead, make that decision, but don't take 10 acres. Take half an acre. Try and see how garlic works with you and all those things. Because once you learn how to do something, the only issue is just scaling it up. So don't go take a loan of 5 million and do 10 acres on leased land. Once you've put your drips, the Maasai come for their land and those kind of issues. So start small, learn, then scale up. That would be my advice.
So one will ask.
Yes.
Are we all vulnerable, or is it just a chosen few?
We are. We woke up in the morning. The moment you left your bed like this, we are all vulnerable, and not just in farming, in everything, right? You can be hit by a car, you can get corona, we are all vulnerable, but that doesn't stop us. It just means that we cannot let fear stop us. We just have to equip ourselves that we are stronger than the scammer. Yes, so that's what happens when sometimes you go to, let's say, around the stage areas, you find these people playing karata. And and they will even throw one card on the floor just to make sure that you're a good Kenyan, umewapatilishia what has fallen off for them to get you looped in. But you just have to know that this is dangerous ground, and you just trend away.
Okay.
Yes.
But why are most of the time these same scammers get away with it?
Yes.
Where's the problem?
They
is it that
do.
we have weak policies, or
Yes.
what exactly?
There is a lot of corruption in Kenya, which is a big contributor. The judicial system takes too long anyway for people to fear that there could be consequences. So you find someone came and now apparently you have a double title because another person decided to scam the system and they created their own title, and the judge has to decide which one is the genuine title. And that process will take about 3 to 5 years. So that person is thinking, this is a risk I can take because possibly I will find my way backdoor ways to even win the process at the end of the day. So yes, our system is a bit broken, which allows more of that. I think that's why we don't even hear about the Nigerian letters anymore, where you go to some websites and they don't allow conversations from people from Africa or certain countries in Africa because people have put structures in place to flag scammers. But Kenyans, we are still left to fend for ourselves.
Okay.
Yes.
So whom do we need to blame? Is there someone we can point fingers and feel good at the end of the day that I've blamed someone?
It's a sad one because the finger points back at us because it means that we had greed. It means that we wanted to double our 10 shillings in our pocket to 20 shillings with effortlessness.
But even as we talk about greed,
yes,
aren't there some that succeeded? Maybe some that were genuine? Are there examples of genuine?
There have been pyramid schemes. Because a pyramid schemes, the way it builds is that eventually the structure becomes too complex and it falls apart. So the first people in the beginning of the project really benefit, and probably even the scammers, it was like a genuine vision, a genuine idea. It's just that along the way they lost their true values and something like that. So yeah, there are a few people who benefit.
Okay, so those few are used as a bait.
Yes, exactly.
To get the rest of us.
Yes.
Okay. So what do we need to do now as a country, as a generation that want money like this?
We need to be more careful. We need to equip ourselves. We need to put a radar in our brain that when something is looking too attractive, always get a sounding board, get a friend, a parent, maybe not someone who will discourage you altogether, but someone who might be able to help you ask questions together. Maybe go to a verification body. Like as I was saying, you can get insurance. So still go into the partnership, but tell this person, I will need you to sign a few documents here and there to certify with my lawyer, that kind of thing. And you'll find that in certain conversation, those scammers will disappear because they don't want to be entangled with too much. They want you to stay dumb. So that's how they do it. And the sad thing is, these scammers are even going to county governments, preaching that story to the county government, and the county government is buying it because they need their population ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of, let's wait for.
Okay.
In terms of, you've talked about the county government.
Yes.
Agriculture is a devolved function. And in most of these cases, I've seen people parading papers.
Yes.
contracts they signed with these people.
Yes.
How binding or how not binding are these documents?
These documents mostly are fraudulent. Market is the biggest challenge for any farmer in Kenya. And that is what we usually try and tell people, that know the reality. Go to the ground first, create your own networks. It might be hard to start, but create your own network to the market. If it's value addition, think of other ways other than waiting for the middleman or the person coming to give you a contract. Figure it out. Go and liaise with government institutions. Go to cafes, go to the airport. Figure out, do these people actually have offices for exporting? Do they have the licenses? And how can you protect yourself? Because the government protects both the farmers and the buyers. So do your research. Don't just take information at face value just because a certain governor or a certain leader was pushing for an agenda. It's like how sometimes you find some journalists or some newspaper written that, oh, you can make $500,000 a month from mushroom farming. It's not really scamming, but don't leave whatever you are doing to go start just because you read one article. You know, equip yourself, do your research, do background. And that's why I think we go wrong. We don't want to do that, the back end of it. We don't do the heavy lifting. We want just you to feed us what is already chewed from your mouth, and we take it and swallow, then we start crying foul.
Okay.
Yes.
Now that you've talked about articles and stories that have run in the media before,
Yes.
because I've also seen a lot of them.
Okay.
And I, being a journalist, even when I was going to the field, I was also tempted to do the same. To say she makes
Yeah. $500,000.
200,000, 300,000 a month
Yes.
from this.
Yes.
But as a journalist, even when I'm at the farm, trying to look around where that 300,000 is coming from,
Yes.
I can't see it.
Yes.
But I still go ahead and do a story and say she makes this because you've told me. Is it that also us as journalists, as media houses, have contributed to people getting conned?
That's why we need people like you who are both farmers and journalists. That's why I have my YouTube channel that captures both at the same time. Imagine if we had a lawyer and a journalist. They bring a perspective that is more, to that specific area. So like when you tell just any journalist that this cow produces 20 liters, they might just write it that way because also they are looking at their end. They are looking at viewership. If you have such a title for your article, believe me, a lot more people will click on it than just writing, she makes 50,000 sometimes on season, off season. People are also attracted because I feel we are also trying to do better. We are trying to better ourselves. And when I find such an article, I will not allow myself to pass because how is he doing it? How can I also do it like that? Then also, what we don't highlight is the experience. How long has she been growing mushroom? You'll find she's been doing it like I've been doing it for 7 years. And how many times have I failed before I get to that figure that we are talking about in the article? So those are some of the things that when you're researching, you'll understand that there is something like a failed crop, there is beginner's luck, there is all these things that can happen that you need to buffer yourself than just jumping into the deep end.
Okay. So can we also say farmers like you
Yes.
can help
Yes.
in some of these situations? And also the fact that some farmers lie about how much they make
Yes.
is also a contributing factor. So let's not just blame the journalist only, even the farmer who gave the information.
Even the farmer, they want to look cool. Now, farming is associated with peasantry and it's looked down upon society. So even farmers, we are trying to encourage ourselves because truly it's not easy.
No, it's not.
Yes, that's why anyone who has farmed and is told that I'm going to be giving you 450,000 every 6 months from pineapple growing knows that there is a question mark somewhere because farming is not easy. We might make it look glamorous. Wangari might stand here in lipstick, but it's not easy. And so we are trying to show society that it's not too bad, but it is something. So I am still making a livelihood from farming, although not that much. So maybe I can tend to exaggerate in the name of trying to attract people to whatever I'm doing in that industry, or just to make myself look worthwhile.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Wangari. Let's take a short commercial break.
Okay.
When we get back, we'll continue with this conversation.
Yes.
For our viewers back at home, today we are looking at why the agribusiness sector is a good field for scammers to con people. We'll be back in a few.
Hakuna aliyezaliwa akiwa na chuki moyoni. Hakuna aliyezaliwa akimchukia mwenzake kwa sababu ya kuwa katika dini tofauti, hali ya kimaisha tofauti, au hata rangi ya ngozi tofauti. Chuki hufunzwa. Na kama yafunzwa, basi pia binadamu anaweza kujifunza upendo, kwani ni rahisi kwa moyo kupenda kuliko kuchukia.
Inspire your callers with the Upendo today by dialing star 811 star 920 hash. Set the tone with Skiza. In your Nairobian newspaper, octogenarian leaves governor's son's mansion for life with a young lover. Woman who set up her online lover's robbery freed after 8 months in prison. Millennials take the institution of marriage as imprisonment and would rather opt out. Also, find out why your lower backache has nothing to do with lack of sex. For these and many more stories, grab a copy of your favorite newspaper, The Nairobian, or subscribe to the e-paper and make your week an interesting one. The Nairobian. We know where you live.
Agri Talk. Today we are talking about why the agribusiness sector is a ripe sector for scammers. Why is it so? And with me in studio is Evelyn Wangari Kuria, who is a farmer, and she likes calling herself Farmer on Fire, and she has explained why that is. Wangari, before we went on a break, yes, we were talking about why this sector has been I've had all these problems. Yes. And one of the reasons is some of our cases, or the cases when they go to court, they take too long. Can we say the government is not doing enough to protect young farmers and even young investors?
Yes, we can totally say that, because I feel like scammers is a very new age kind of crime which has been accelerated by technology. Like the people who you hear in committee, and a committee calling you and telling you all these funny stories, but you will still find that your mom still did give her PIN, and all that information. And to some extent is that these people are also struggling because they do not have jobs. And they are thinking, with all this energy, with all this knowledge that I have, can I make a product that I can still at least make sure that my family eats? So sometimes it's unguided, but if we can be able to harness as a country all this energy and direct them towards industries and building our country, I think those are good brains.
True.
Yes.
But can we also put our legislators on what do we call?
Yes, we can.
On the spotlight.
Yes.
In that we've had all this coming,
Yes.
but we've never had anyone in Parliament stand up and say we need to take a stand. Is it that they live in a different world from us, yet they're representing us?
The legislation, yes, should be put on the spot, and definitely. And that's why things like agricultural insurance is going to become a bill, and I was part of that. I think we can discuss that some more. But the biggest issue should still come from us. We are living in a democracy, which means if we want something, we have to demand for it. We are the people who are going to decide the course of the nation. So if we feel the scammers are doing too much damage, let's go out and protest and say that this is unacceptable, this is not okay. You know, like corruption and scamming has become so comfortable in our society that we just hear and we tweet about it, and that's about it. We never really follow up to make sure that these people are getting refunds for their money lost. So there is some kind of apology to the public, and there is, you know, some harsh consequences to this to deter other people.
Okay.
Yes.
You also mentioned technology a few minutes ago.
Yes.
As a contributing factor to some of these vices.
Yes.
But can say technology as well be a solution? Maybe if I took a few, maybe 5 minutes of my time to also do my own research using the same technology that they are trying to scam me using,
yes,
I can tell that all this being painted out here is not as rosy as it is. Can technology also be a solution to some of these problems?
Yes, yes. We hear that they say technology is a double-ended sword. So you can use it for good and you can use it for bad. So before you make that commitment, before you go withdraw all that cash in your savings account, do some research. With the same gadget that you have, go into Facebook, Google that company name, get to call a few contacts of people who have maybe even said something positive about the company and ask, what do you really think about this? Then ask a few questions, get to know what is really going on. The first thing is just alertness. Guard yourself. They say in the first aid world, safety first. Don't go saving someone else and you're putting yourself in jeopardy. Safety first. So every time you hear of an opportunity, let that siren in your head go ringing until you find enough facts to feed into your theory for you to go ahead and invest. But always also remember that risk is part of life. So also it's finding the balance of knowing when am I being scammed and when am I finding an opportunity that might set me out for life.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
But as you are a farmer.
Yes.
And farming is a hands-on
Yes.
activity.
Yes.
So I find it also very difficult when someone say I was scammed, yet in the first place,
Yes.
they did put their money. They went to that farm maybe once.
Yes.
And they never went back again.
Yes.
What does that say about if it was me as an investor?
Yes.
If I put my money on something and I just sat and called every day and say, how is it going?
Yes.
Instead of me going there physically to see if they were doing tomatoes for me, how are my tomatoes doing?
Yes. The point is, it's tricky because sometimes conveniently the farms are very far away. So I mean, even you, I'm sure you have bought a plot in Juja and you've never even actually gone to see the physical location, but you just have the title deed in your bag. So as much as we are part of this society that is struggling with these facts, and we are saying that yes, sometimes it's really hard to go to location, and like the most recent one was a pineapple one that was in Kwale. So you can imagine most of the people who are investing are in Nairobi. So it is a bit tricky to go to site. You need to organize maybe with the people so that you don't just go and find the farm in vain. You need to be guided. So obviously, there could be challenges with that, but as I'm saying, before you put your money down, follow it closely. And it's also complex. I've heard of people who've been scammed through mushroom because you've never seen mushroom grow before. So you've been keeping things in your spare bedroom for 2 years, and you're being told mushroom inakuja tu, it's coming. So it still goes back to research of what does it take to farm? What does it take for, we've heard of people who are talking about contracts of pumpkins. What does it take to actually plant that pumpkin, get it going? What are the processes involved? If it's virgin land, how do I transform it into a farm? Because as you know, it's not easy. You have to plow, you have to harrow, then you have to fence, you have to do so many things. You have to sort out water if it's irrigation before even the seed goes down. And understanding the commitment that goes with that will make you more engaged. I always say, follow your money. You've worked very hard for that money. Follow it. Don't just sit there and hope that everything will go okay. Follow your money. Always follow your money. Because even in chamas, they're collapsing every day. And these are the issues that we are having, is that people are in a group, they have this surplus cash, but the treasurer just decides, because no one wants to go to the bank or do the bank errands, so they put in her M-Pesa, and she just decides, hey, I'm actually broke this week, I'll put next week. And that's how scamming eventually becomes.
Okay. You've mentioned insurance a lot.
Yes.
I'm trying to see or understand how insurance can help this. Let's say I've invested in the pineapples you talked about.
Yes.
And I talked to an insurer to insure that crop of mine. How does it work, or how does it help to also have insurance for some of these things?
The process I was part of is a government initiative where the government would actually become part of the insuring part of it. Because currently, there is nowhere in the Constitution that talks about agricultural insurance. Yet, 50% of our GDP comes from agriculture. It's a bit reckless that we haven't had this in the Constitution already. But it's in the process of getting there. Probably not now because of the political environment, but maybe with the new government we could have that in place. The thing is that the government will give guidelines to the private companies to be able to know where what stops and what happens in terms of consequences. Of course, that's part of a bigger conversation, but at least it has started. So basically what would happen is that, one, there would be a lot of paperwork involved in the process, and that should be enough to at least scare away half the scammers, because they don't want to do things officially. They don't want to involve a bigger circle. They just want these people who have they have mind controlled, and they are still in that emotional state. Before they get logical, they'll have, helped with your money. So first thing is that the process will at least scare away half the people. Then at least half of them will get some sort of compensation, because I'm sure scamming will become part of the clause in terms of loss of investment.
Okay.
Yes.
When we talk about also insurance involving an insurer,
yes,
if I'm not financially illiterate, the insurance company will cover me on that. I think in terms of, they will send their people also to see whether
they have experts.
Yes. So I see your point, why this can really work, and we need to encourage more people to think on those lines.
Yes.
If you think it's too complex for you,
yes,
seek for an alternative opinion from someone else.
Yes.
Okay. So going forward, what do you expect in this sector?
Just the way we started the conversation about mental health, and now it's open, and when you say you're going to see your therapist, it's no longer frowned upon. We need to start discussing this issue openly. We need to stop shaming those people and saying, how stupid were you that you fell for that? We need to start saying it could happen to anyone. Yes, at some level, all of us are vulnerable to that, and we need to stop maybe harassing them too much so that they can come out clearly and say, this is how it went down. This is exactly the words he used, and this is what to look out for. Every day we are getting text messages from our banks telling us to take caution, to stay alert. And that's what we need, where everyone is having that conversation, where we stop being so Kenyan of, I'm keeping this deal to myself until it evolves. Now we need to start explaining to everyone so that someone can just tell you, I see a red flag over there. Or, hey, you are scammed this and this and this. Even me, I'm getting into such a deal, and maybe you can save someone.
Okay. Having mentioned that,
Yes.
do you think we are also, as a society, a problem to ourselves? In that,
Yes.
me, I can raise the money to do that.
Yes.
You cannot raise the money, but you have the knowledge to see some red
Opportunity.
flags on this
Okay. Yes.
this area. But you still let me go ahead, put my money so that, because you didn't have money, so that tomorrow you'll sit down and say, nilikuwa nimeona.
I told you so, yes.
So do you think also as a society we've reached a place where we are no longer a brother's keeper, and we are happy when people are falling down, and we are not happy when they are going up?
Yes, that is part of society. I think that has always been there. Jealousy is part of human emotion, and it's okay. That's why you don't just go and tell anyone. You go and tell people you trust, people you feel won't be threatened that you are about to make it big time. So always it's good to find that 1 or 2, 3 people who will do that. But also, this person can tell you that, they can even give you that, they can tell you, here I'm not seeing it correctly, but probably you won't even take it with the right attitude. You just think, I want to go to Dubai and do a job, and you're telling me it's a domestic work job. What are you talking about? So there is also that human relationship where even if you are warned, you will still go ahead with it thinking that they are not wanting you to prosper. So,
Okay.
yes.
So I'm also thinking we cannot dwell on the negative too much.
Yes.
I'm also thinking it's we need to talk about the positives also of agribusiness.
Yes.
You've been doing mushrooms, and you need to tell us a little bit. How is it for when you started it, and how is it now?
So when I started it, there was very low uptake of it because it was a foreign food. And what I even used to do is cook it and go door to door to my neighbors in my estate and ask them to taste a little bit, a sampling expedition. And they would kind of like it, or they would be like, oh, this is an acquired taste. I think I can get into it. But then as people started maybe even going to Java, you would tell them, this is the Java sauce that they put on their steak and things like that. And eventually now people are also now coming forward and saying, we want this product, we want to eat this. Corona has really helped because mushroom has been labeled as one of the foods with high zinc and magnesium, which is really helping managing of common colds and corona as well. So that has really helped with marketing. And also the other thing has come with value addition. So there is drying, there is turning it into powders as a way to preserve it and to give it to a larger market. So that has really changed the industry for mushrooms.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
What about when you talk about the agribusiness? What do we need to know about agribusiness?
For me, my advice would be start small, scale it up. That has been, I have a degree and a master's from USIU, strategic management, business. I'm in business academically, but I'm self-taught in agriculture. So I would say that start small and learn bit by bit. Let the farm become your teacher. Start with 2 or 3 crops and see which one works best for you. Crops have energy as well. So figure out which crops works best for you. There's someone that if they grow coffee, it thrives and he thrives as well. There's someone who grows coffee and he's at loggerheads. He does not like that crop. It fails him every time because he's at collision with markets, with weather and things like that. So also try and discover what is your vibe and what type of crop do you desire for yourself. So I can say farming is very interesting because it's kind of a learning curve, and it also has an addiction kind of thing where even if your chicks die, you take a break for a month, but you find yourself going back to get 1-day-old chick and doing the business all over again. So it's a good place to learn. It's good when you know that your business is fulfilling a bigger need. We need 3 basic needs for a human being to live. And the first one, not just the third one, the first one is food. When Corona hit, people forgot everything else. They just remember, where am I going to source for food? Where am I going to get my food reserves during this lockdown? So when you realize that, then things like food safety, producing safe food that doesn't have pesticide or going to harm people, producing food that is, also educating people on benefits of that food, using land well so that you're taking care of the environment for future generations. Agriculture is just amazing. It just makes me feel inspired and fiery.
I can see the fire coming out.
Yes.
So earlier this week I had a gentleman who was seated exactly where you were sitting, and we were talking about why agribusiness is important for all of us.
Yes.
Even that some of us need to go back home and try and inform our parents to do their farming.
Yes, better.
Because for ages, you will get my parents were growing maize, whether there is a market or there is no, they will call you at the end of the season and tell you,
yes,
sasa hii mahindi yangu nifanyie nini?
Same story.
So as a country or as young people that we have some of this knowledge, what do we need to do to help our parents back at home so that they can, sometimes they say our parents also now rely on us most of the time. Yet, whatever they do, they can still make more money. Because I remember there was a time my mom was doing vegetables. And she was making more money than I could ever imagine.
Yeah.
And every time I was broke, I'll call her for some money.
Yes.
As young people, what do we need to do to also help our aging parents understand better how to do business in agriculture?
Yes, so as you said, it's putting the business in agriculture and making it about agribusiness. So don't allow your parent to just farm for the sake of farming, to farm something that is no longer productive to their life. It's about going back and showing them that, how my grandmother also used to do it. We plant potatoes, we keep some for next season and we eat some of it, and the rest are given to relatives. No money changes hands. Subsistence farming, which is fine for that part, for that generation. But now we need to be more profitable looking in terms of farming. And then this thing of keeping a part of our harvest to become seeds for next season, that's how we end up damaging our soils, damaging our future crops, because this part that we are storing has carried so much residue from the soils, and a chemist would explain it much better. But even Carrie is advising us that it's better to go and get a fresh breed of potatoes that has a different genetics and tissue culture for you to refresh even your produce and your soils, and doing things like soil testing. And only young people can do this. Young people are very energetic, they're tech savvy, and we can use this technology. And as we have learned, if you have internet, you can grow you can stay anywhere, literally, because you will market your things online. Someone on Facebook in the middle of nowhere, as long as they can be able to upload that picture, it will get market. So let's not always be worried about staying in the urban areas. The urban areas are just full of traffic and unemployment and so many stories. Let's try to rewrite and say, Mom, I can grow this food with you, or give me a side like half an acre kitchen garden, and we can use this as a prototype to see if I can bring in the best farming practices that I'm learning from TV every day. Yes.
Do you also think the lack of, you've talked about a lot of information there.
Yeah.
The lack of this information to some of these parents is a problem. And remember, we no longer have extension officers.
Yeah.
So as my parents or my grandparents or my neighbors, where can they get some of this information?
Okay. So just to correct you, we actually do have extension officers, but they are way too few for them to be able to go in to see the farmers like they used to go long time ago. So because farmers have kind of multiplied, they have realized that it's impossible to actually go to the ground. So they just stay in office and hope for walk-ins, which never happens because the farmers also don't know that the government has services like that they can just walk in and say, I hear there is maize. You know, like the agricultural extension officers just call me and tell me, Wangari, hapa kuna mahindi kwa store, it's been here for the last season, would you like to get some few bags? Because the opportunities are there, but now there is some communication breakdown so that the two are disconnected. So one of the things is doing things like agri-farm tours, which I do with other partners, where we just take a group of farmers to go see another farmer and experience for them. There is also a sit down where every farmer gets to say what they are doing and probably give their phone numbers. And in that way, in this very online world where you rarely see other people in your line of business, that you can be able to have that network and that contact that you can say, but Wangari said in the last agricultural tour to Gilgil that she grows strawberries and I'd like to get into that. And so she's the best person to go into compared to this big person in TV saying that they are going to help you do it. Yes, so things like agri-farm tours, reading, book reading, encourage people to read more. Also online presence, so get into Facebook, join as many groups as possible, get to be friends with people who are also farming so that you can see their challenges. Because people post, today I saw a snake in my farm. Then you get to know, ooh, I guess farming is not for me because I can't stand those things. That kind of information. And then the other thing is also being proactive. These government leaders who are saying that agribusiness is part of the agenda for, question them, get on their Twitter page, ask them these hard questions, tell them, how can I benefit? I have a degree in agricultural from JKUAT. How do I get internship? You know, be proactive. Don't just sit and wait for things to come to you. Also push, try and see how you can get aggressive about it.
Okay.
Yes.
Talking of books,
Yes.
I also see you have a book.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about this book and
Yes.
where the journey for the book started from.
The journey for the book started with, I am big on researching, but every time I would go to online and say how to grow mushrooms, the instruction they would give me are in Fahrenheit and seasons, winter, you know, there was no local books that were giving me something that I can use in my Kenyan context. There was no someone who was substituting and telling me, if you don't find which brand for this, you can get the alternative, and where do you even get it? Because those books are written by people from outside Kenya, outside even the continent, and they're not even telling you, do you get it in an agrovet, do you get it in a chemist shop, do you get it where? And so for me, that came about when I was like, I blog a lot about just my daily stories. Like this month, we are doing this. And so at first, the book came as a combination of all those blogs and published into one, but then I kind of fine-tuned it so that it can meet the demands of the people. If you want to start tomato farming, which is greenhouse tomato farming, how do you even construct your own greenhouse? Because as we know, the prices of greenhouses are also too high and they cut out most people. But how did Wangari do it with zero money, retrenched from corporate, with no money, with a loan? So the stories are here. It's quite an entertaining book. It has a lot of images so that people can see, oh, this is a cutworm. This is what will kill my plant before it's 2 inches old. And I'm wondering why the seeds didn't germinate. So it gives you images to be able to scout and empower yourself and empower your worker. Give interest to your children if they would like to go into farming. Nudge them along the way.
Okay.
Yes, so that's what the book is about.
So if I want the book, where do I get the book?
Find us on all social media platforms, Farmer on Fire, YouTube Farmer on Fire. Hit my inbox and I deliver the books countrywide.
Okay.
Yes.
One quick one, and I'm told we have less than 2 minutes. You talked about greenhouses.
Yes.
I think it's one thing we should have mentioned. There have been a lot of complaints for those who invested in the greenhouse.
Yes.
That the first season they made
Good money.
and good harvest.
Yes.
What happened thereafter?
an agronomist. There's something called beginner's luck. I think it's in all industries to encourage you somehow. The first thing you do, if you go to Gikomba and get Mutumba clothes, the first one will be good. The other ones will have a hitch. And that's the thing why you need now agronomists or experts to come and tell you, or to go to the YouTube channel and see how did she actually do this and learning from your experiences.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Wangare. We'll look for you for that conversation, especially for the greenhouses.
Yes, we need to come back.
The failed investments.
Yes, there are very many white elephants.
Yes, I'll call you back. We have that conversation.
Okay.
But for now, that is it from for Agri Talk today. We've been talking about agribusiness and why is it ripe for conmen to con other people in this sector. And Wangara has been very eloquent on why and what we need to do to guard ourselves from the same. Until next time, goodbye.